Welcome to Sales Training for Podcasters, the podcast designed to better your sales process. We'll be sharing tools, tips, and techniques, whether you love sales or hate sales. If you've got a product or service to sell and a podcast, you've come to the right place. Now, here's your hosts, podcast strategists Doug Sandler and JJ Flizanes.
Hey everybody, and welcome back. My name is Doug Sandler. I am host of Sales Training for Podcasters. Actually, I'm co-host. I'm co-host with JJ Flizanes. JJ, are you with us today?
Of course I am. This show's about me.
Where else are you going to be? Well, if you missed last episode, go back because you missed some really great stuff. Because we talk about my favorite subject, me. we talk about making money podcasting. We talk about selling podcasting. We talk about my journey. And we encourage you to really just trail along with us as we are going through not only our story, but some of the mechanics that are involved and the processes that are involved. Well, today, we're not going to talk about me. We're going to talk about my second favorite subject. She's actually my first favorite subject. I'm just not allowed to tell her that because I don't want to get her ego too big. JJ Flizanes. Now, JJ is an empowerment strategist. Oh, I love those words. And she's also a podcast host. And she's my roommate. Well, she's well beyond my roommate. We hang out. We're boyfriend, girlfriend that way, you know. And JJ is the host of many, many shows. I'll let her tell you all about them. But I know we got Spirit, Purpose, and Energy is the show that is banging and doing the best that is out there. Women, Men, and Relationships. She's got another show called Health, Wealth. She's got a ton of content that is out there in the marketplace. So JJ, welcome. As you are co-host, welcome to your very own show.
Why, thank you for introducing me to my show.
How many podcasts did I miss though?
I don't know. I'll go through it. I don't actually count them because there are some that aren't live like every week, and there's reasons for that. And so let's just get started so that you guys have an understanding of my background. Again, I kind of represent that creative person who sales training I had to learn, and I had to learn to do it in a way that felt good for me in order for me to have a business and make money. I started podcasting in 2014, September to be exact, after Labor Day. I think it was like the 7th or 10th. And I started a show called Fit to Love. Fit to Love was a 6-day-a-week show. It was 2 videos and 4 audio shows. So the videos, I'd do a 2 or 3 camera HD shoot, and I would like record a bunch of shows. And the reason why they were video was because I was teaching exercise, and you can't really teach how to exercise properly, correct form and everything from an audio podcast. You need to be able to see where I'm moving from on my body. And so it was an exercise-based podcast. That Monday was called Movement Mondays. Tasty Tuesdays was a cooking class, and it's now been rebranded into Easy Paleo Gluten and Dairy Free Cooking. And again, it's to show people how fast and easy healthy cooking can be. So those 2 had to be video. Then I moved to Wellness Wednesdays on the Fit to Love podcast, which was about nutrition and alternative medicine, which is basically what it got rebranded into. And then Thursdays was about Thoughtful Thursdays. So it was more the psychology and behavior, hypnosis, subconscious, those kinds of things about the thinking, the mindset piece. That was Thoughtful Thursdays. Freedom Fridays was my guilty pleasure day. I started a podcast and thought, where am I going to stick in the stuff I actually want to talk about? Like the real stuff I want to talk about, the stuff that excites me. And what excited me has always been, since I learned it, applied it, and realized that I'm the creator of my own reality, law of attraction. So my Freedom Fridays was law of attraction, astrology, intuition, meditation, numerology, all of those woo-woo things that I love. And then my ex-husband said, hey, you need a sexy Saturday. And so he was right. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do a sexy Saturday, which will be about relationships, sex, passion, masculine, feminine energies, and then just relationships in general. And so that is why I did a 6-day-a-week show. I've been a personal trainer for 20 years, and I was working with clients that I could see why they weren't getting lasting progress. And one of the reasons why they weren't getting lasting success is because they weren't willing to look under the hood of the car at how the engine was built and to change out the parts. They were just trying to lose weight and eat better and control themselves to get results, but they weren't looking at the reasons why. And so my journey has always been of curiosity to learn more, because I'm an excellent problem solver. And if I don't have the answers or how to solve the problem, well, then I'm going to go learn something else until I can. So I have a very, really big toolbox. Did you want to say something, Doug?
Yeah. Let me in. So when did you realize, like, I know that when you originally got started, this was not okay, I'm going to get into this because I want to make money right out of the gate. So when was it that you realized that you had the power of actually making this into, or turning this into, a business?
Again, as I was getting there, because I can't talk I can talk for the next hour by myself, but I do enjoy that you're here. The reason why I got into podcasting wasn't to make money at the beginning. I had learned about podcasting at a book writing conference that I was at because I was working on my next book. I have authored 3 books, and I was getting ready to work on the 4th book. And when I was there, somebody had been a podcaster, and he explained his podcasting journey. And what he said was, I didn't make any money for the first 2 years, but then iTunes featured me and everything changed and blah, blah, blah. And then he kind of laid out what it looked like for him and how much money he then started to make. And I thought about it because I was looking for an outlet for all my information to attract new people and to test what the world wanted from me. I was clear that I want to talk about all of these things, but let me put it out there and see how people respond. And so that's why I started the show. And I said, what can I do? I can do this for 2 years without making any money, because I had so much content, and I am not a blogger. My brain, as you can tell by how fast I speak, my brain moves so quickly, my fingers could never keep up. And blogging would be like putting a needle in my eye.
Pain.
So yeah, totally painful blogging. While it's important and there's other ways you can get it done, I just didn't want to do it. It wasn't fun. But talking, presenting, speaking, very fun, very passionate. So I started a podcast to really market test me in the world. And that's why, again, there were 6 different days a week, because I also put it out there thinking, I'm going to see what people gravitate towards, what they like, what they respond to, and what they want more of. At the same time, because I have so much information, I'm going to archive my information. So that way, when I have a new client, I don't have to explain the same thing 20 times. I can send them to the podcast episode. They can learn it on their own, and then we can do deeper work. So I had different reasons for starting my show. Of course, I wanted to make money, but it wasn't the focal point. And I literally started out saying, if I don't make money for the first 2 years, that's okay, because I'm going to learn a lot. And so we got to not even 2 years. It was probably 1.5 years, 2 seasons, 350 episodes. And I had an intuitive hit, and I'd had positive feedback, and I'd had sales, but not enough that matched my quality of my content. I mean, I think that if you put something out in the world and you won't listen to it, then why would anybody else? So you have to like what you're doing. And I would listen to my own show when I edited it, and I thought, God, this is a good show. Like, everybody needs this. This is so inspiring. I'm so motivated. And I just felt like my show quality and the energy wasn't getting the response it should have. And that's when my intuition said, well, they can't find you, because I put all of this very, very specific content. I mean, each different day of the week literally has different keywords, from biomechanics, exercise physiology, anatomy, resistance training, paleo, gluten-free, dairy-free, easy cooking, nutrition alternative medicine, law of attraction, astrology. I mean, seriously, I was trying to fit all of that under one brand, Fit to Love. And so when I separated the shows, I just repurposed them into their new iteration. And I repurposed the episodes I already had under their new brand. And the first one I launched was Spirit, Purpose, and Energy, because that was my guilty pleasure Friday. I even say it in the dumb video if you want to go to see it on fittolove.tv. It's FIT, the number 2, LOVE.tv. I mean, I literally say, hey, if you don't like it, don't listen to it. I let everybody off the hook, because I just wanted the outlet to talk about it and to share it with people who were interested. And I didn't want feedback from naysayers to say, well, I don't like that. Well, then don't listen to it. So I put Spirit, Purpose, and Energy out there first. And because I repurposed, I probably launched with 15 episodes, and I had no products. I had nothing to sell. I had no lead generation. I had no sales funnel. I had nothing to sell in that show. And I put it out in November of 2016. And by December of 2016, I had feedback. I had people writing to me, telling me that they were getting such benefit. And oh my God, this is amazing. And this is changing my life. And I was depressed, and now I'm happy, and I have tools. So I thought, okay, I need to create something for these people. I need to bring them into a group. So I had the hit driving, something that I would need too. Let's make a challenge. So I have a 30-day manifestation challenge, and I beta tested it December of 2016 with some friends. And then I launched it January 2017. And that's been my number one lead generation for Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. And I have had live events. I've created products. I've created programs. I've created coaching programs. So I listened to my audience when they said, this is what we want from you. So that show was like one of those sleeper, all of a sudden overnight became popular, but it was because it was branded correctly. It went from Freedom Friday under the Fit to Love brand to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. So now people who were looking for astrology, law of attraction, manifestation could find me because they look at Fit to Love and think, I don't know what it has to do with law of attraction. So I wasn't branded properly. And that's what I learned. And it wasn't about properly. I would never have done it differently because there's no way I would have started 5 shows. And I never would have leaned into and believed in myself enough and taken the risk, especially as a personal trainer who's been on NBC, KTLA, CBS. I have 3 books. I was named Best Personal Trainer in Los Angeles. I would never have moved away from so dramatically my credibility in the space of fitness and nutrition. I needed to ease into it to really step into a new version of me, but I wasn't going to make a drastic change because I had nobody who agreed with me. I had no one to support that, to say, yes, take that leap, move far away from the fitness side. Not that I'm still using it, but that was my credibility. And I didn't feel comfortable. And I was bored, quite honestly, just doing fitness stuff. I'm like, this isn't it. This isn't all of it. I'm good at it. You need it. We all need to exercise more and eat well and take care of our bodies. But there's a reason why you're not doing it. And that's all the psychological stuff. So my number one show is Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. Fit to Love is still active. It has shows every week. I did start a show this year, this calendar year, which will be next year for you guys, 2020. I launched Health and Wealth. I have Women, Men, and Relationships. I've got Smart Exercise, which is a video. I've got Easy Paleo, Gluten, Dairy-Free Cooking. And I've got Nutrition and Alternative Medicine. Now, those are some of the shows that got repurposed. Now, after that, I also have Something to Whine About with our dear friend Michael Neely, who will be on the show as well. Michael and Melanie Benson got together and thought, let's do a passion project of a wine podcast. So, and of course, because I was seeing Michael more than Melanie was and drinking wine with him, we would record. And then quickly I was the one on the show more. So then they brought me on as a host. And now Doug has probably surpassed Melanie also. So eventually Doug will be added to Something to Whine About podcast. And so that's just a fun show that we do, sort of like his Mustang show. And we're still kind of developing the monetization structure. And then the last show that I'll talk about that I have is actually a paid show. I created through building all this community. I created a very active, loyal following that wanted more. And they wanted more solo shows. They wanted to get together. And so I launched a membership program, and it's called the Inner Circle Membership. And the Inner Circle Membership includes a podcast. And so you can't find it and you can't download it unless you become a paid member of the Inner Circle Membership. So that does have a separate podcast where I put new content that isn't anywhere else, or if it is someplace else, you don't know how to find it because it's been repurposed from someone else's show, but it's brand new stuff. So I don't know how many shows that is. I have one more actually too that I'll just mention. It's so I believe iTunes stopped showing episodes past 300 at some point. Now I know with the new Catalina system, they show all of them, but for years, if you had more than 300 episodes, the ones at the bottom started to fall off. And so then what I started to do, but I didn't finish, so in case you want to check it out, I did Fit to Love episodes 1 to 300. And I started repurposing the older shows on its own channel. So that way none of them would fall off. But I think that's a non-issue now. So that show does still exist with, I don't know how many, maybe 75 episodes on it. But I didn't want to lose first episodes to this thing that was happening in the podcasting world. But I don't think it's an issue now. So that's my story.
So let me ask you a question. You covered a lot in there. And what was really interesting as you were covering your history, what I noticed absent from your history was any kind of like formal sales training or formal training on business development or lead generation. And I love that because there probably are a lot of people coming to this podcast thinking, geez, I can't necessarily relate directly to what Doug experienced. If you go back and listen to the last episode we did, maybe my entire background is in sales, in my entire career. And then we have you, which is terrific. The contrast is amazing, is that you spend your entire time talking about your community and your shows and your content. So can you put some of those that are in our community at ease to a degree and just share maybe the fact that you don't have any formal sales training and yet you've figured out how to make a really healthy income using your podcasting as your tool, and you do have a pretty high converting community. So can you maybe just talk about your formal sales training or informal sales training?
I don't really have formal sales training. I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. And in being an entrepreneur, I've been in masterminds. I've taken classes. I've done group coaching. I've done PR. So I've learned marketing and sales along the way. And I can't really credit anyone in particular for giving me any kind of information. I mean, when you hear sales training from different kinds of people, you hear that, different contrasting, some people have way different styles of how to sell. And for me, it was never about the selling. It does help that I'm in a profession. For those of you that know Cartman's victim triangle, we all are some iteration of victim, rescuer, or persecutor. And I'm a starting gate rescuer. So what I want to do is I want to help people. And I want to help people with the information that I have. And because of that, especially in my life, both my family as well as my current clients that I had before I started the show, people were attracted to me because of my information and expertise in the areas of exercise and nutrition. So I was helping people lose weight and even biomechanics and helping them to save their joints. And again, I was finding people that needed what I had. And again, when you present somebody with the information that you have, it was easy selling. I would take somebody through an assessment and say, ask them questions. What's the frequency? What's the intensity? What's the time? What's the type? What are your results? How long have you been doing it? It was really easy to just reflect back to them that they needed me because they didn't know what I knew. And so sales became super easy because I was providing a service. I wasn't trying to get somebody who didn't need me to buy from me. I was literally saying, what do you need? Here's how I can help. Do you want the help? So it becomes a service. I'm rescuing, so to speak, these people into better health, into feeling better about themselves, higher self-esteem. So sales, when it comes to that kind of profession, healers and coaches, and especially anyone in the healing arts, they feel weird about selling, but what you do helps them. They want stress relief. They want to feel better about their bodies. And so when you have science to sort of uncover what they're missing, I found myself closing 50% of the sales that I would get in a consultation without trying, because they would literally clearly see it on the piece of paper and they'd say, well, okay, here's my credit card. Like, let's get started because I clearly need you, because my sales strategy was to literally uncover so they would see it so obviously. So I didn't have to do any selling. I was teaching. And so the teaching led to selling. And it's sort of still what I do now. Although I will say, if you listen to Spirit, Purpose, and Energy, somewhere in the middle, we're at 260 or 70 shows as of the recording of this episode. And I do get into pretty hard selling on my show. And I will tell you that I've had some feedback, some reviews that say she's really a hard sell. Like, it's just selling. And I have no shame or guilt about any of that because I know who my community is. And at the same time, I have people that say to me, it's because of you believing in me and not letting up on me that I'm able to get the results that I get. So my sales training is really all rooted in, I have something that makes your life better. I know your struggle and your pain, and you need this. In fact, 2 of the people that came to my manifestation boot camp last year were clients of mine who were already paying me. And I literally didn't let them give me a no. I mean, if you would have heard me, you would have thought, holy crap, you are really a hard salesperson. But I had no shame about it because I knew they needed it. They were in tears. They were in a bad momentum. They had an environment that they couldn't break out of. And I was like, you have to come, because my events have produced results. So I know that. Now, the first time I didn't know that. I didn't know that the first time I threw an event, what was going to happen. But if you have a service or a product or a program that produces results for people, it's effective. So it's like you can't help but really want to get somebody there because you're doing them a bigger service by getting them there and blocking and getting through their resistance to the sale. So I'm a really hard sale, but I'm a logical, and and now it's not about me. It's not about the money. It's not about the money. In fact, I even told my community, and this is one of my mastermind members said to me, and she's recorded this more than one time. When I heard you say on the podcast, don't let money be the reason you don't come, reach out to me and let's work it out. She goes, wow, that's someone who really cares about the people, who cares about their results and isn't in this just for the money. And it's true. I begged people. I said, look, if this resonates with you and you want to come, call me. Let's work it out. Let's do a payment plan that's different than what I'm offering because you need to be here because I'm not doing another event for a year and a half. So my sales training has come out of finding ways to communicate a message to somebody who's in pain, who needs relief from whatever it is they're suffering from, because I have answers and lots of tools that can help bring relief and hope and empowerment.
Well, I know it's really interesting watching the evolution of JJ and all of the different tools that you have created over the last couple of years that we've known each other. Can you spend just a second just talking about that for those that are in our community that are, newly listening to us? I mean, we're a brand new show for them. So, we haven't built, unless you're coming from another community that we've created and now you're understanding what you potentially have your hands on. We haven't built that trust with you guys yet. So there is nothing for you. I just want to understand how you were able to come into this, create all of your products and services within this environment, and still be successful at it at a short enough period of time before you gave up. Because there are so many people that are out there that are hanging on their last, what they would call their last dime. It's like, oh God, I got to make podcasting work, because if it doesn't work, I'm only going to give this 12 episodes, or I'm only going to give this, 3 months. Or what's your advice to somebody like that, or from a product creation perspective? So what do you say to them?
People teach sales in podcasting very differently. Again, another reason why we're starting the show. I am a podcast trainer. We have our Ultimate Podcast Mastermind, and this all came out of a need to help people who are being given bullshit information and led by people who were trying to get them to start a business, but really didn't succeed in podcasting. So this show, Sales Training for Podcasters, is because you and I are proven successful podcasters. We make money from our shows. I do not make money any other way than from my shows. I support myself 100% through podcasting and the clients, referrals, programs, and products I make and sponsors I have through podcasting. Okay, to be clear. So in terms of, for the people that are out there, you don't know what you don't know. And I will say a lot of people start out, again, not where I started, and not even where you started, because you had a separate business that you were also doing at the same time you were podcasting. So you didn't need your podcast to make money. So if you started your show from the place of scarcity, thinking I have to make money, then you're cutting off your, what is it? What's this? The
nose
cutting
to spite your face.
You're cutting off your nose to spite your face, because you don't know. I don't care how many years you've been in business. I don't care how successful you are at any other thing outside of podcasting. Podcasting is a different beast. With your best intentions, you do not know who's on the other side of the microphone for you, who the listener is, until you engage with them. So people start out, okay, I have this business, I sell this thing, this widget or this program, and I'm going to target those people, go. And then they go, okay, but no one's buying. Oh, I want to make this thing and then that they need, but no one's buying. And this is where, again, the strategy of podcasting, when Doug and I started our Ultimate Podcast Mastermind, it was because we made a year-long program, because it's a marathon, not a sprint. You have to start it and put it out there, and then engage with people to see what it is they need and where you're showing up. It may need to be a brand change. It may need to be an offer change. And you may need to put all of your preconceived ideas aside and just step into something that you enjoy doing. I love everything that I'm doing. There's a passion. I'm sure you can probably hear it. There's a passion to what I do, and people feel that. And when it's in a podcasting situation, that's all people have, is what they feel from you and what they hear. They're not watching you. They're listening to you, and they're super dialed in to your frequency, to your emotion, to how you are in the world. And if you're someone doing podcasting just to make money, meaning you're not emotionally attached to what you're offering or giving, then you're probably not going to be successful. I don't think I would recommend that you do podcasting then. Like, take out an ad, do a whole strategic ad campaign for emails or on television or on YouTube ads. But podcasting, like, there are the most profound relationships created through podcasting, because people love ideas. They love to think and to talk and to see possibility. I find that podcast listeners and podcasters are like such amazing people. And again, it's like they deeply care and they're deeply committed. And when they know, like, and trust you, like I've had people listening to me for 6 years. That's huge. And so that's what I would say for anyone who's going into podcasting thinking, well, I'm only there at 12 episodes. Well, then don't do it. If you're not in it to really bring your gifts to the world and to share whatever it is that you're doing, or you don't like to talk, or you don't like people, then don't do it. Because at least if, Doug didn't make any money for the first 18 months, and I didn't make a lot of money for the first 18 months either, but Doug loves to talk, and Doug and Strickland love to have a good time, and Doug likes to, meet people and build relationships. And so he was building his contacts and the relationships for joint ventures and affiliates later on in life through having his interviews. So it wasn't for nothing. He just didn't know where to point it or how to make the most biggest impact financially at first. So if you're not going to do this because you just love the idea of it and love what you're selling, then you'll be disappointed, because you can't, no matter what you do, you're not going to manipulate or control who picks up this show and who listens to you and likes you and stays. That is something you have to learn and co-create together with your audience.
What's so great about it is, as you were talking, I was thinking about as I locked in on one of the words that you said there just a few sentences ago, and you're talking about relationships and talk about how great podcasting is from a relationship building perspective. JJ and I would not be together as a couple had it not been for podcasting. We actually met at Podcast Movement a few years ago. And a lot of the relationships that I have come through podcasting. I think about the 800 plus guests, 850 or so guests that I've had on the show over the last 5 years. Many of the business opportunities that have evolved have come as a result of those relationships that I have built. As a matter of fact, before we wrap today, I just want to share with you, and I want to get some final comments from JJ. Obviously, it's your episode, your show. Coming up, however, in the next few episodes, all of those relationships that I've built in the other podcasts that we've created, I literally, JJ and I sat and had a planning session just before we started recording these few episodes that we are recording now. And we talked about, okay, who would be a great match from those other shows or previous guests? And I'm looking at like these all-star guests. I haven't gotten commitments from every one of them yet, but I did get a commitment, just from the king of sales, Jeffrey Gittimer, who I interviewed just through a happenstance relationship that evolved through LinkedIn. That I happened to find out that he knew my dad. Go back and listen to episode number 2 or whatever that was that I just did mine on. But Jeffrey Gittimer, the king of sales, he is somebody that I've developed a relationship with. And a lot of those relationships we're going to bring forward into this show to teach you guys as you were listening to this. Again, whether you come from the background like JJ's, which was not a formal sales background, or mine, which was a formal sales background, that's pretty much all I've done through my entire career. And we're going to teach you from both those perspectives. That's why this is a great, great show for you to listen to get your learning on, and to see how we've actually done it from both sides of the fence. So any final words before we wrap up, where your career is going? Where do you see things happening about the show? Anything that you want to wrap up on, JJ?
Well, we're going to choose guests and we're going to ask them about their experience, and they're all not going to be podcasters. A lot of them will be podcasters. And again, remember, it's not really about whether you model me or model Doug or learn exactly or do exactly as either one of us. It could be somewhere in between. It's what's going to resonate with you. It's where you need help the most. And it's being able to ease past and release any resistance you have. And then also, as a community member of ours, we want to hear from you. We want feedback. We want to know what you want to know about. We want to know where you're getting stuck. And we're going to be offering you a couple of ways to reach out to us, but you can go to salestrainingforpodcasters.com right now. And you can send us an email to say, hey, I love the show, or I'm anti-sales. I have really bad feelings about it, but we want to know from you because you're our community, and we are making this show for you, as well as making the show for all of the current clients we have, especially in our sales mapping or in our ultimate podcast mastermind. And if any of those things interest you as well, let us know if you want to know more information about that. I'm sure we will cover that as the show goes on, but we wanted to make sure that we put out sort of the broad spectrum. And I'm sure there is something that you can grab from both Doug and or I that will help you in your podcasting journey, convert your listeners into sales.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap for today's episode. We'll come back next week. We got more great info, great guests coming up. Thanks everybody for being here. JJ, thanks for being our featured guest today on the show.
My pleasure. See you all, guys. See you on the other side, guys.
See you guys. Sales training for podcasters coming back at you next week. See you soon.
Thanks for listening to Sales Training for Podcasters. To get additional information and to access more amazing content that will boost your sales game, visit salestrainingforpodcasters.com. Hey, do us a favor. Rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Again, thanks for listening.